Going over a brand new poll released by Trafalgar for the state of Georgia. Georgia, one of the most important battleground states there is in the 2024 presidential election. This poll was conducted between September 12th and September 15th of 1,098 respondents of likely 2024 general election voters in the state of Georgia. There was a margin of error of 2.9% and a 95% confidence interval. The results of the poll find that 46.2% support Donald Trump, 44.5% support Kamala Harris, 3.3% are other third party, and 6% are undecided at this time, according to the poll. Definitely a big undecided part that I'll be getting into. Party participation, Republican was 37.9, Democrats 34.2, and no party/other 27.9%. Age participation for the poll, 18 to 29 was 14.2%, 30 to 39 16.4%, 18.6% of respondents were 40 to 49, 50 to 64 is 30.6%, the biggest group of them, and 20.2% for 65 plus. Ethnicity participation of the poll, 61.1% were white, 30.1% were black, 6.2% Hispanic, 2.5% Asian, 1.1% other. In the gender gap for this poll, 55.1% were respondents were female, 44.9% respondents were male. So, the main takeaways from this poll. Well, definitely that it's a very close race. It is 46.2, 44.5. What's that, about 1.7% difference or so? So it's within the margin of error, so you can look at it from a statistical point. This race is a dead heat. This race is a tie right now. The biggest takeaway I'm taking from this is that the race is essentially tied here, and that's 6% undecided. I'm wondering what the split of that undecided vote will be, and I think that's why Georgia is so close, is 46, round up 45, that's a lot of undecided vote left, and it'll be interesting to see how that vote swings, and that's the main question, I think, coming out of this poll. Now we're going to go to the average right now for Georgia, where Trump is up in the polls by 0.2%. The Trafalgar poll that I just went over, 46-45. The last one was Quinnipiac, 49-46. Insider Advantage before that was 48-48. The Hill-Emerson back towards the end of August was 48-49 in favor of Harris. Bloomberg was 49-47 in favor of Harris. So Georgia is definitely a very, very close state. It's going to be down to the wire. It's probably going to be under 1 percentage point. And it's just very interesting that we see the average in the polls where when it was Trump versus Biden, Trump was leading Biden by at least like 3 to 4 percentage points. When Harris enters the race, it gets very, very close immediately, and it's really not deviated from less than maybe half a percentage point since then. And there's a good reason for this because, we're going to go back to the Georgia in 2020. Joe Biden won the state by 0.24% of the vote over Donald Trump, 0.24%. In 2016, Trump defeated Hillary Clinton here by 5.1%. So we saw how much it went to the Democratic side, how much it moved to the left in that time, about 5 points. So 0.24% then. Check the polling average now. Trump is up by 0.2. If the polls are correct and the margin of victory for Trump in Georgia is 0.2%, that's the same margin Biden won it by in 2020. So Georgia is definitely very, very close right now. It feels premature to call this anything other than a tie, but I think this poll from Trafalgar, I'm not sure if it's great news for Trump. I think it's more that Georgia's a dead heat and that it can really go either way. I don't think that's really welcome news for the Trump campaign. I'm sure they'd much rather have another poll like Quinnipiac where they're +3. However, I do think it's pretty decent news for Kamala Harris that it's a 1-point race. She's clearly in play in this state. It's not a state that Trump is running away with. It's a state that she's very much in it and can very much win it on election night if she has a good night. So I think, just the main takeaway of this poll is it's a 1-point race in Georgia. It's very, very close. And Georgia is very, very important for how the 2024 election can be decided. And this is why. I've talked about this a few times where if you look at the electoral map, I'm just going to go over some previous designations here. It starts out with Harrison Walz at 226, Trump and Vance at 219. For Donald Trump, the simplest pathway for him getting elected is winning North Carolina, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. That gets him to 270 exactly. If Harris can win the state of Georgia and it's 16 electoral votes, that cuts off Trump's easiest path to 270. And if we go back to the polling averages right now and we look at the battleground averages, Harris is up in Nevada by 1.2, up in Wisconsin by 1.2, and Michigan by 0.7. So let's assign those states to Harris and show where it gets her. Michigan gets her to 257, Wisconsin to 267, Nevada 6 to 273. With the state of Georgia, that gets Harris over 270, meaning she would win the election and become the next president of the United States if she's able to win the states in the poll she is currently leading and win the state of Georgia. That's even, you could give Donald Trump the state of Arizona, a state he won in 2016, lost in 2020. You can give that to Trump. He would still lose the election because he lost Georgia. And it's really, really just, it can't show enough how important the state of Georgia is. It's kind of being not swept under the rug because of how important Pennsylvania is, Wisconsin, and Michigan are. But if Donald Trump does not win Georgia, there's a very decent chance that Kamala Harris will win this election, regardless of Trump winning Pennsylvania or not. If Harris were to win Pennsylvania and Georgia, I think you can pretty much count the election as over and Harris will be the next president of the United States. Because then Trump would have to come in and win Nevada, win Wisconsin, win Michigan, while at the same time losing Pennsylvania and Georgia. It isn't really feasible. But Georgia, I think right next to Pennsylvania, is one of the most important states in this election because depending on who wins Georgia gives a very big advantage to Trump or Harris, depending on who wins it. So this poll showing a 1-point race for Trump, I mean, sure, you'd always rather be leading than losing, but the fact that Georgia is still very, very close shows that this election is absolutely a toss-up election. It's hard to say one candidate has a lead right now over another, but this is definitely a very close election and will continue to be close as we get leading into Election Day. That will do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to give it a like. And if you really liked it, please remember to click the subscribe button and make sure you turn post notifications on so you always get notified when I post a new video. That way you never miss one. Also, please remember to share this video with your friends and family if you really, really, really like the video. And remember to stay tuned because I'll be posting at least one video every single day leading up until Election Day. So I'd really appreciate it if you keep coming back and watching those videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video.